Breaking news! We have official details about the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Pokedex Handbook, and we can use this information to get an estimate as to how many Pokemon are going to be available in the game. We had this fun 3 years ago when the same details happened with the Galar Handbook, and yeah, we could go, wow, 240 pages. That's a lot. How does it compare to the other games? Well, we got those details, 192 pages for Alola, giving us 301 Pokemon. But that wasn't all the Pokemon available inside the game because of the other features of the game. So there's actually quite a lot to break down here. Also, in Pokemon Sword and Shield, there were Pokemon like Mewtwo that were in the game, and also the Kanto starters, but they weren't a part of the Dex, and then they became later available through transfer or other events and stuff like that. We also had a couple of interesting things shown with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because Hisuian Zoroark confirmed to be in the game through Pokemon Home transfer, so how much the Dex expands beyond that is going to be interesting. Like, we don't really know how big the game is going to get, so we need to kind of take this with some grain of salt, but also apply just a lot of other math behind it. So yeah, Alola region 301 Pokemon, Galar 240 pages, but showed 400 Pokemon. Paldea is going to be 192 like Alola. So, oh no, there's only going to be 300 Pokemon in the Dex. But that's not correct, and we're going to keep on breaking down why. So, it gets even spicier because the handbook was what was first leaked before we got like the full game leak data mine, everything known about Pokemon Sword and Shield. This is also what the lawsuit was about. So I don't think it's going to happen again since Nintendo has some pretty good deterrents. But we got to see some teasery images about the Gigantamax Pokemon. But we can also see that Gigantamax Pokemon take up a lot of space in the book. We don't have that. We don't have Mega, Z-moves, nothing else that's going to like take up space in the Pokedex Handbook, and that's something else to note, that this is not a strategy guide. So while there's going to be a little bit of reference to terrestrializing, I'm guessing they're going to show like the forms for each of the Pokemon types, but that's just kind of it. So, and that's not going to be 8 pages worth of content either. And even like on the official website, when we're breaking down what terrestrializing is, not a lot of information, even though this doesn't kind of explain everything, and it's a weird, overwhelming new feature, but we're just talking about the handbook. And I'm guessing that this is going to be updated, you know, from tons of Pokemon to the official amount when it's actually revealed, because it wasn't that simple when we got the handbook reveal for Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's why we were like looking at the pages and trying to figure out all the Pokemon that were going to be in the game. So Alola did something. I'm not going to go and find like an illegal download of the book and look into that to where it's like, yeah, only 1.5 Pokemon per page instead of the 2 Pokemon per page. They can fit Galar cramming in more Pokemon, but losing a good amount of pages to Gigantamax, which is the note here. Though another thing to consider is the Galar guide dedicates a good number of pages on new forms for old Pokemon, Galarian Gigantamax forms, while Paldea only has 4 new forms in total. And that's where it starts getting like leaky things. We don't know exactly how many Pokemon are going to have new forms and regional variants and stuff like that, but the Gigantamax is going to knock that number down a bit. So that's something to consider. Also looking at the details for the Region Handbook, this is the first book in the official Pokemon Handbook series to not list each Pokemon's possible level up moves, but to also list the Pokemon's possible genders. So again, not going strategy guide, just like, hey, here's the Pokemon, how to say it, height, weight, imperial, metric, gender, ability, weakness. Boom. Pokedex entries from Pokemon Sword and Shield are included. So it's more Pokedex than strategy guide, but even then, kind of like comparing it to other ones, the first one to just not have the details about the Pokemon in that kind of way. So depending on how Pokemon Scarlet and Violet does that, again, finding more space than Pokemon Sun and Moon. But we have official reveals. How many Pokemon have been officially revealed? 200. Okay, we can go and sort that if the website's working. Nice. Sometimes this is like down or just has too many too many people slamming it. So I did a video kind of like going over generation, giving my thoughts on the Pokemon that have already been officially revealed. And there's a good amount, but it's kind of like crazy when you think about it, because, okay, that's it officially, just for a couple of Pokemon and a couple of generations. But there's so many generations that, yeah, that we just scrolled through 200 Pokemon, which is also why anyone bring back National Dex, even Generation 8, was being completely ridiculous. We can see there's a good amount of balance. I think it's going to be good for competitive. Legendary Pokemon are what end up ruining it, so we'll have to wait for DLC or a couple years down the road for that. And I just see like some not very used Pokemon that might get a bit more ability to shine, especially with terastallizing. And this is just what they've shown so far in the very few amount of trailers. So I mean, there could be like 300 returning Pokemon, 100 new Pokemon. It's Pokemon Sword and Shield all over again. A couple more transfer only, a couple more hidden Pokemon. GG easy. According to leaks, we also have some Pokemon that are going to be in, like Ditto has to be in. Tauros in some forms, Mankey Primate into an evolution and stuff. Some other Pokemon to play into. So, yeah. And also from the leaks, even though I'm not going to like take it. Oh yeah, well the leaker said there's X amount of Pokemon, so there's going to be X amount of Pokemon in the game. Just gotta go off that. They said there's going to be more new Pokemon, like Generation 9, in this game than other recent Pokemon generations. So, 80-ish to 100... plus the 200 confirmed, plus, you know, another 100 that haven't been shown. Like, at least 350 Pokemon are going to be in the game, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with less Pokemon than Pokemon Sword and Shield, because they were all loaded into the wild area, and while it was cool, it kind of got tedious and lame, where even though we had so many different areas of the wild area, if you just, like, went to the same day, or, like, the same, weather, you're going to see most of the same Pokemon. Like, yeah, here's Sneasel again, and there's Snover again, and then we change the weather around. Yeah, there's these Pokemon again. So, even though there were 400 Pokemon and an area to explore, it started breaking down to where there wasn't a lot of diversity outside of actually doing the different areas multiplied by the different Pokemon tables, and then raid dens as well. So, but still, even with 400 in this area, in this small area, felt like you're just running the same Pokemon over and over again. And then also a good sprinkling of pre-generation Pokemon and new Generation 8 Pokemon throughout the rest of the map. And I think, like, that doesn't mean that, oh, well, this is smaller than the wild area or smaller than Pokemon Sword and Shield for the Paldea region. I would just rather like it to where there's less overlap of Pokemon with all the different biomes and areas we see. Like, we have a cool little autumn area over here. We have multiple snowy areas. We have just a ferocious looking area over here. Some desert, some grassland, some plains, some other forests, mountains, water. We have all kinds of different terrains. So I think, yeah, 350 Pokemon being populated throughout here means we're going to be finding a lot of diversity kind of wherever we go, and a lot of nooks and crannies for special Pokemon spawns and rare Pokemon spawns and stuff like that. So a smaller dex can actually work better, potentially, and then also less annoyance on like having to change to a specific time to get the specific weather to do the specific thing. So initially, like, you see this, you don't think any further than this, and then like you just get bummed out about it. But we already have like pretty much 300 Pokemon just as a given from the official, and assuming like, okay, we're going to get more than the previous generations, also a lot more revealed, then some hidden ones through Pokemon Home. That could be like another 50 or some kind of other feature or something similar to the island scan on the best open world map, and you can just find these Pokemon wherever and whenever. I'm down with all that. So, sounds good, cool news, fun breakdown, not a trailer. Even though like Korokoro is dead, it's kind of like in that vein, which is kind of neat, and then not in the what has become complete overwhelming nonsense and weirdness for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet leaks. So some solid Pokemon news to enjoy. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.